as the shoulder wheel pertains to other parts of what you may feel in the Mike Austin swing, as you make this correct shoulder wheel,
yes,
let's talk about what happens with the bottom rib in relation to the right hip.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
Versus the correct one versus the incorrect one.
Right.
So we'll do it incorrect. As I make that too much of a hip turn, I break that wheel off the axle.
Yes.
And if I come through that same way,
yes.
What this hasn't shortened, right?
No,
Steve?
that has not shortened.
That's right.
His rib and his hip bone have stayed about the same distance apart. Boy, that's also a great way to put a lot of excess torque on the lower.
Ouch.
Yeah.
One thing that we need to make sure that we continue this thought on is that this is a better swing for you physically.
Yes.
It is not one that's going to break you down in a short period of time.
Right. Okay.
So the other way,
yes.
Which, I'm going to make the wrong swing going back, but I'm going to take that 12th rib into my right hip bone. I'm going to do that correctly.
Now we're dead. This is a pattern of a lot of long hitters that I see, and the ball flight pattern tends to be push out of bounds to the right and overhook out of bounds to the left. And occasionally they catch the club face rolling over just right and they hit a big hook back into the fairway again. But it is not the easiest way to do stuff. And the farther you hit the ball, the closer you gotta be on this wheel if you're gonna consistently find the fairway.
Yeah. So how about my arm swing? Where do my arms go when I make a correct shoulder wheel? You're gonna feel that those arms are swinging to a high position. You have high hands here, right, Steve?
Without having to lift them that
That's
much.
right.
That's right.
The same way going through, they're going to achieve that high position
on the
without having
follow-through.
to lift
that's
on
right.
either side.
That's right. Excellent.
Okay. Hey, I know what you're doing.
What's that?
Well, you're basically skipping the rock, but you're also working on your golf swing.
That's right.
In the best way I think you can do without actually a golf club in your hand.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So what we're doing here, what Steve's doing, is just a basic skip the rock drill, which I first became aware of in the best sense I could think about it, where on Steve's website, hititlonger.com, he had a picture of two kids by a lake and they were skipping rocks. And he put that on his website, and I'm sure when you saw it, you thought the same thing. You're like, so those kids, I mean, what are they, 12 years old, 10 years old?
8, 6, they're real young.
And they're just right here skipping a rock, getting ready to throw it into the lake, and you're like, wow, that's a really good golf move.
Just stick a golf club in their hand and they've got it mastered already.
Yeah.
And they didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And I think when a lot of people take up golf and they were good rock skippers and they just don't even realize that they already had the motion to swing down and go through the ball.
Yeah, so when I do junior clinics now, I have kids just, throwing balls out there, and they really have fun doing it too. So it's a good junior drill. But let's go through some of the specifics of what's going on here.
So just like if I was a fielder and I've charged a bunt and picked it up and going to throw it to first, I'm getting the arm up in this position, this throwing position. Notice I've got the elbow up away from the side. I mean, you're not going to throw like this. This would be a bad way to throw like that. So you're up here and extended away from the body. The wrist is pinned back, just like we would be at the top of our swing anyway. Okay. Now this is going to help me do a couple things. It's number one, it's going to help me learn how to turn under and turn out and be turning out in front of my arm. So we're not going to throw past our body. We're going to be shifting and turning through it as we're throwing the club head out to the outside. So the second thing it's going to show me is how to move my elbow in this manner. So this is you look at this is an external rotation this way, and that allows me to put my forearm right on the plane with the ball. So that now when I straighten the elbow out, I am zinging that energy right around the plane. I'm not losing any efficiency at all. If I was here, I'd be cocking the elbow downwards and all my force would be downwards, which is not as efficient. We want all the energy going around the circle. So I'm going to turn out of the way, under, and now I'm going to externally rotate that upper arm bone this way, so the internal point of my elbow is leading down the fairway that way, and from here it's just snap the elbow, snap the wrist.
Throw a couple that way right now.
Okay, sure.
Another interesting point, watch Steve's right foot, it will slide
Absolutely.
as you step through
It's
the
a very,
shot.
very natural motion. I'm just letting it go in the direction I'm moving all my mass.
Let's
Let's
see it
try
again.
one more.
Yeah. Let's go a couple down this way, Steve.
Okay, I got one left.
Okay, that's one's good.
One's good.
You're good at it.
Okay. So we're throwing it right at the stick
Yeah,
out
right
there.
down there.
Okay. And there it goes, skipping down the fairway, right in line with my target. That was a pretty accurate throw. If I'm getting off course at all and I'm not rotating my body enough, well, my rock would go out to the right. It wouldn't go down my target line. That's how I know I need to shift and start to turn to completely bring that arm around into the slot. Well, I've got it in this position right here. And now I'm just ready to, I feel like my right arm now just has this runway, is freed up.
Right.
It's just this
right on the point of
space,
the golf ball.
this space right here. There's nothing in the way. You hear there's, you know, I'm in the way, but I get out of the way. Now I can really crack that whip down at the bottom.
Right. So if somebody was to do this drill and they did it incorrectly,
Right.
whether it would be a ball thrown out to the right or a ball thrown across their body,
Uh-huh.
if they throw it across their body, pulls it left, there's probably a lot of hip shift that was going in a back shifting manner.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And so the release would come across your body, the ball would go left.
And another thing is when people don't turn enough at all, and you're trying to convince them, hey, look, you got to turn. And they'll say, well, that just doesn't feel, it feels like it's way too much. Well, throw a rock. And what's the first thing they do? They throw a rock without turning their body enough, and the ball goes off to the right. And then you got to show them, well, now throw it on your target. Your target's that stick over there. And they'll say, well, okay, let me try a few more. And they'll start to turn more. Then I film them, and they see how far around their chest has gotten compared to what they've done before.
Right.
And then they realize, oh, I can see now, I haven't been turning enough, and that's why my path is inside out and I'm pushing and hooking everything. And often the people that hook the ball, that's the problem, is they're not turning their chest through it hard enough or early enough. Of course, don't forget we're adding that snap, stimulating from back here still.
Right.
So it's all blended together and it all times out at the ball like that. Now, one more point on that, what I like to use is like an extension cord or a rope instead of a ball. And that way you can really learn it if maybe you're not such a good rock skipper. Maybe you just never really learned that skill and you're not very good at it, but it's very good to throw a wave down an extension cord or a rope, grip it at one end and maybe
Tie it over.
tie it to a tree or to a pole or something at the other end, you know, some sort of long length of rope. And now you can just whip. You'll see the sine wave travel all the way down the length of the rope. And if you can make the sine wave really intense and you can make it travel the full length of a long rope, you really got some power in that. And that's how you can learn to develop this skill. This is one of the hardest things. I'd say the two toughest things to teach the average guy is how to make a divot in front of the ball and how to learn this dynamic snap, you know, with this all supple and loose and really snap that energy through down the shaft into the ball.
Leads us to another one of our phrases. You want to actually feel like you are losing control to gain control.
The only way to gain control with the hands, if you're trying to steer it and guide it, not only does it slow you down, but you're also going to not be as accurate. If I tried to steer my throw through, there's no pitcher in the major leagues that steers the ball. They'd be demoted because you can't hit the strike zone. Everybody knows if you try to steer the ball to the plate, you're gonna just get home runs hit and you're not gonna have a lot of power. But the pitchers, especially if they're coming sidearm, they are just losing control and they are just whipping the ball and letting gravity and centrifugal force take over and dominate.
Okay, that's a good explanation of the rock skip drill, that's for sure.
Yeah.